This one's for the department. DAF Secretary Andrew Metcalf visited the Middle East in January of this year. Did DFAT have any role in assisting, preparing the way, briefing notes for that visit?
I might ask Mr Innes-Brown to answer that question. Thanks.
Thanks, Senator. Mark Innes-Brown, First Assistant Secretary, Middle East, Africa and Afghanistan Division. Our embassies in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia helped organise his visit, Senator.
Sorry, your embassies in Kuwait and
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much. And what advice did you provide to the department on the timing and content of Mr Metcalf's visit? Anything?
Well, there was obviously liaison about the timing of his visit, the proposed visit, and at his department's request, meetings were organised, and DFAT supported the visit. We thought it was an important thing to do.
So were briefings prepared for Mr Metcalf?
He would have got, on arrival, I'm almost certain he was briefed by our missions around the issues that he was going to take up and what the domestic situation is on those matters.
Would that have included the change to domestic policy on the live export trade?
That was as I understand it, Senator, I think the key purpose of his visit was to explain to these important trading partners the proposed changes and explain the details and how that was being developed here in Australia.
You said DFAT had a role in organising the meetings. On notice, can you give us some information on what meetings were organised and what
Sure.
meetings were sought?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Was the ambassador present at any of Mr Metcalf's meetings?
I believe so, Senator. I think he was accompanied, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check to be.
Is that both visits?
Both destinations, yes.
Destinations,
I believe
sorry.
so, yeah. It's obviously an important visit.
Can we get details of that? Which ones?
To confirm if they were
ambassadors?
present every meeting, yeah, sure, Senator.
That would be good. Thank you very much. Did you provide any advice to DAF regarding concerns from Middle Eastern trading partners about the impact of the decision to end the live export trade?
Well, I think it's something that our posts have provided advice on. They've sent down reports. It's something that's been taken up here in Canberra, the views on this. And so I think it's their positions are well known on this. And these were matters that were discussed further during the Secretary Metcalf's visit. It was an opportunity for him to engage directly with those governments and a range of stakeholders in those countries about the change and to communicate what was being proposed, Senator.
So does DFAT have a policy position on the fact that this change is effectively subject to the outcome of the next election because the government has committed not to do anything this term of government? Does that change your advice in any way or moderate your advice, or is that fact communicated clearly?
Well, I don't think it was a decision of the government, Senator, and
But it's a decision
I'm not an expert on this issue, but I
term.
believe it was something that the government said they were going to do in opposition, and you know, DFAT's job is to on all government policies is to help implement it. So,
with due respect, it's a decision not to do anything this term until after the next election, when the Australian people get a say in who actually gets to decide what happens in this country. Does that impact your advice?
No, our advice that we've provided, or information we've provided, is around what the impact of, or what the views of those governments are. So that's the sort of information that we've provided, Senator, not about the particular timing of the measure.
And what are the views of our trading partners in the Middle East, in short?
Well, there were a variety of views. I mean, in Kuwait, the government has raised with us the impact of that proposed measure, because the export of live sheep has been a significant component of their meat intake, I suppose, meat supply. However, during Secretary Metcalfe's visit, I think there were probably a range of views. I think over time, I mean, it's not an issue that's just been discussed today. It's been discussed via our embassy. It's been discussed here in Canberra with their diplomatic representatives. And I think there were probably a range of, as I understand it, there were a range of views expressed, and probably the main concern was expressed by the Al-Mawashi group, which is the one that the Kuwaiti trading company that's involved in importing live animals.
Have government ministers or officials communicated to you that this has the potential to damage our trading relationship?
Well, it's obviously going to have an impact on it, because it's a component. This is a component of our trade, but it doesn't mean that. I mean, as I understand it, during Mr. Metcalfe's discussions, there were traversing other aspects of meat supply, including supplying chilled meat and so forth. It's not simply about the live trade, but there are other options as well. So. So that was sort of a feature of his discussions, as I understand it.
So has there been communication from officials or ministers concerning damage to our trading relationship with the Middle East based on this domestic policy change?
Just to be clear about the questions, you're asking whether other countries have approached us or we have approached them.
I'm asking whether other countries have provided information to that effect to the department. Their job is to listen, presumably, Minister.
And they're very good listeners.
I think I just answered that to the previous question. I mean, obviously there's an impact on the trade in the short term. I mean, because...
Have you communicated that to the Minister?
Well,
because the Minister indicated that he hadn't really heard anything
I haven't done it personally, but certainly I know the Department of Agriculture is aware of the composition of trade with that country, Kuwait. Hence, Secretary Metcalfe's visit. I mean, there is an impact, and we want to a key part of the visit is to consult and to explain the proposed government measure and to have an ongoing discussion about it. And that's what Mr. Metcalfe's visit was about.
And Senator, my understanding is that undertaking and the visit and his explanation of where things are up to has been appreciated by those that he was speaking to as well.
Thank you for that. I've got to go, so I will just finish up with... Minister, would you accept that the decision to close down the live export trade has the potential to have broader trade reputational issues in destination markets?
What I would accept, Senator, is that the incoming Albanese government took a decision that we would go to the last election with a clear policy on the phasing out of the live sheep trade, as you've correctly said, not in this term, but in the next term. We took that policy decision. It was very clear, and of course we were elected the government.
Minister, I'm not disputing that.
yeah.
I'm not disputing any of that. I'm asking about our trade relationships and whether our trading partners are telling you this has the potential to damage trade relationships.
Well, no, none of our trading partners have told me that, Senator.
I'm happy to leave it there, Chair. Thank you for your indulgence.
I'll now hand over